It's me. Boring chords. That's what we're talking about today. Boring chords. The players that come in Reason are amazing. However, if you just lean on the players and lean on the chord trigger specifically, you're going to end up with boring chords. So in this one, I want to show you some tricks to make your chords more interesting, to make your chords sound, well, less like this. And more like this. That's what I'm talking about. Let's get into it. Okay, here we are. I have just an ID8 setup. It's got a piano patch on it, and there's a scales and chords on that. Here, let me move this out of the way. There we go. There's the scales and chords on that. It's just the simple setup. 3-note chords. I'm not using any inversions yet. Let me explain. For those of you who are newer or don't have any theory background, let me explain why inversions. I mean, there's many reasons, but the main reason is also the number one reason why chords, why what you play coming out of this player can sound robotic sometimes. So if you're a musician and you're playing a song and you're playing from chord to chord, right? The way it jumps, if you're looking at the actual player, look at the notes there. The way it jumps from note to note, from chord to chord, is not natural. It's not the way a musician would actually do it. They actually use inversions on their chords. That is, playing the same notes but playing them at different octaves. So let's say the jump from here to here, from here, let's say from here to here, you could take that top note and instead of playing it where it is, play it an octave down. And it's called smooth voice leading, and it's A, to make it sound smoother, and B, it's to make it more possible to play. You can't jump your hand all around like that if you're the pianist. You have to learn smooth ways to play it. And that's why if you're not a pianist and you use this chord trigger to write your chords, you'll sound weird instead of knowing the theory to keep it tight. Anyway, so there's a couple of ways to achieve that. You can, here, let's play something in. Less talky, more playy. So I'm just gonna vibe off the top of my head and just see what I come up with. Let me set up a little, I always like to set up a keyboard shortcut. I use tilde, which is above tab, for my record button, and then I use edit keyboard. I use the letter A because it's on the left hand side of the keyboard and it's not currently in use. I use that for this button. This button is actually return the playhead back to the left marker. Anyway, okay, so that's a little workflow thing for you. Here we go. Nice and simple. Boom. Let's quantize that. We'll just quantize it at 100%. Boom, shakalaka. That's F8. F8 to pull up that window, by the way. This is how I quantize always. Okay, I'm going to highlight this, make it the right size. I'm going to press P. Press the letter P on your keyboard to play it in cycle. Boom, in one shot. So actually the way I played this, it doesn't have that many jumps in it. Actually, maybe I should play a different. Let's play something that has more jumps. That timing was strong. Okay, let's quantize that. Okay. So you can see the notes are doing that thing. They're kind of jumping around. And the chord, the progression sounds good, but the way it's being played sounds amateur. So if you're putting these chords like this in your songs just as is, time to step your game up. So here we go. So you have options here. You can, okay, so this option is cool because you can kind of do it a little bit more intuitive. You can do it with your ears. So that is, we're going to automate. Oh, I held a option and just clicked the parameter I wanted to automate. I wanted to automate the inversion knob here because we're going to use inversions to create smooth voice leading on these chords. So I held command and I just clicked. The snap is set to bar, so it's just going to make a 1 bar region for me. And then there's only 4 positions. See, there's 0, 1, 2, 3, 4 positions, right? So there's only 4 places this could be. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. You get it? So we're going to just try different inversions on chord number 1 and see what it sounds like next to chord number 2. That sounded cool already. So now this is back to neutral, and this is it inverted. That was a lot smoother actually. If you look at the way the keys are being played, sounds a lot more interesting too. So I would just go through this. Pardon me. Getting over a little something. So we liked the way that chord sounded. Let's see what happens. Ooh, that sounded cool. It's doing a weird jump thing, but I like the way it sounds actually. But let's see if we make it smoother, what does it sound like? And when I say doing weird jump thing, if you're watching the piano keys here, you know, it's like his hands going and then instead of, he would probably play some sort of inversion to stay kind of near this area. Whomever he may be. Robo pianist, I call him. That's pianist. Robo pianist. Okay. Sounds a lot more interesting that way. Actually, I like that progression right there. So you see with a couple of inversions, it sounds different. So here I have them both rendered out. You can see the difference between these chords. These are the chords that would have come out had you just played them as you played them. They're chords, but they just, yeah. And then this is the kind of more smoother, the chords that are using inversions. So let's hear the difference. The second one sound more interesting to me. They sound less robotic. So that's one way to do it. Automating the inversion knob within the players here, but that's not the way I do it. Let's take it from the top, and I will show you how I do it. So here we have that same progression. So I usually start songs like this with a progression like this, and I want to work fast. Here, let me get rid of this. I want to work fast usually. So let me get rid of this too. The first thing I'll do from here is just send it to track because I want to see the notes. I'll get rid of this. Actually, I'll keep it just in case. But so I'd open this and I'd take a look at it, and you can do this kind of visually using the tool window. Let's just start inverting these chords ourselves. So this one is kind of up there, so let's bring it down an octave. You're only going to change things by octaves. So bring that down an octave, bring this down an octave. Let's see, is this too low here? No, that looks... And I'm actually just looking at it. Let's see what that sounds like now. It's a little too dark. So we can keep those guys up there. Nice. So the other reason why I want to be here is because I'm still going to use the play. So I like to use, and this is kind of getting past chords, but this is how I write. I like to use the chords now, right here, right now, while I'm looking at them to influence maybe a melody, or maybe I'm going to write something that will stay with the chords. And I'll write another melody on top. But while I'm here and while I have the player routed, so this is what I would do. I would, now that I have a structure of the chords, and maybe later on I'd write a B section for this, but right here I'm just going to write this 4 bars and see where this takes me, and this will maybe inform a B section that I would write later. But while I'm here, so I'm going to turn the chords off. I don't need chords right now, but I'm still going to use this player here because I want to stay in key, and it's just easier because we're going to draw notes instead of playing them now. That's what I do next. So I'm going to filter the notes. I want to turn this back on, but I'm just doing notes. So it's going to filter all the bad ones, and it's going to play all the good ones that are in, sorry, we're in B flat minor, by the way. So I'm going to use the fact that it'll filter the bad notes out. I don't know why that glitch exists, but imagine that piano is there. It should be filtering out the bad ones. Will you filter out the bad ones? Yes, you will. Okay, you see how you can hear that note, but you can't hear that note? That's perfect. We're going to write into this chord progression, we're going to write passing notes. Passing notes are notes that you sprinkle into your, I don't really know the technical, I couldn't rattle off my head, but they're notes that I sprinkle into my chords that they're scale notes. Obviously, they're going to be in the scale, they're going to be in key, but they kind of deviate from the chord, but then come back. I guess it's just better if I just show you. So we're looking for, let's go to maybe eighth notes. We're looking for opportunities to spice up this chord progression with passing notes. Let's do it. Or are they neighboring tones? Hold on. Okay, so just by going through and picking, I just set the snap to eighth notes, and I picked some notes that are in and around the chords, and I can't miss because I have the scale generator on. But with just by doing that, you'll come up with. Now it could either end up being a melody, and sometimes it does. I take the little eighth notes out and put them into a different instrument. And use them as a melody, but sometimes I keep them as parts of the chords. So take a listen. So I think this is a combination of passing notes and neighboring tones. I'm not sure. I can't remember. It's been a while. Music theory buds hit me in the comments. But yeah. So, but get the idea in your head of starting with the sketch of just triads. I always start with usually just triads. Starting with the sketch with triads, play it in really quick, render it out. Use inversions to make it have smooth voice leading, and then start adding, eighth, 16th notes, whatever, to spice it up. And then the last thing I do to start changing things around is changing when the chords come in, because everything is coming in on the one. So now we're gonna either delay or the opposite of delay. I don't know what's going on with my brain right now. The next thing we're going to do is move the chords around. All the chords are landing on the one right now, so that's boring too. So let's move these around and see if we can spice this up. So if we did something like... So So I moved this chord. All the chords, remember, started at on the one on each bar line. So with just a little bit of a move here, shorten these and lengthen these out so that it now comes in earlier, and then made it so that this one comes in, instead of coming in here, it comes in here. And then I ended up I had more space here, so I added 2 more passing notes here. And now I have a whole different thing going. And then from here, I would go back to my root notes, which I always keep here. I could return on the chord trigger, rebounce those notes. If I wanted to go back to find what my original bass notes were, to use those to inform my bass line. But we're not talking about that now. We're talking about chords. But that's what I would do. I would start writing from here. I would probably end up taking these eighth notes out and making them their own instrument. I like the way they sound on their own. I like the way this is coming together. And it's all because it all started with that sketch. So now I've humanized them a bit and they sound like this. And of course, you can kind of probably already hear the B section in your head. So just to remind you and give you perspective, we started with a sketch that sounded like this. And in a few minutes, we ended up here. Much better. So there you have it. No more boring chords for you. Thank you so much for watching this video. If you found this to be helpful, please subscribe. Please like and subscribe this video. Please smash that like button, or whatever the kids say. You can always find more information like this and my blog on my website. That's djquasar.com. Or you can follow me on any of my socials. Bam, bam. Yeah, thank you so much for watching. I'm out.